ca mașina mea să zboare dreapta, stânga, tot gura, dreapta, stânga, ceruri șosea, aș rula zi pe asfaltul de nord, n-ar avea niciun rost, nu mai vrei să cobori, stânga, dreapta, n-aș mai parca. Azi am nimerit un trafic infernal, parcă august pe A2, în drum spre litoral, semaforul-i schimbător, cum e femeia, aștept de dore să o bag în viteza 3-a. Azi am nimerit un trafic infernal, deschid geamul și sunt oxid, iar într-un furnal aglomerat, total liber, doar în sus spre cer. Dați-mi o elice să mă fac elicopter. Printre picături de ploaie scura, prin zile de curcubeu sunt strada mea. Dar azi am nimerit un trafic infernal, fac 100 metri pe oră, băi frate, nu-i normal. Dreapta, stânga, gura, dreapta, stânga, ceruri șosea, aș rula zi pe asfaltul de nord, n-ar avea niciun rost, nu mai vrei să cobori, stânga, dreapta, n-aș mai parca.
Ești în trafic, ești în grafic. Vară la vară.
Impulse.
I have a confession, don't take it personally. I have a confession, so you gotta listen. I have a confession, don't take it personally. I say I have a confession, so you gotta listen. See, I like Beyonce, but she tell we Tika. I like Nicki, I am Tika. I like Rihanna, she dey make me take a gaga. I like Omotola, cause people like her. I like you, Genevieve. I think that she's so sweet. And now you're Buhari, but she know the drink I ring. It's all about you know. You cannot play me too. I wanna have them all. I know which one, but the truth is that I just can't believe her. Please, nothing Oliver. Oliver, please. I am something Oliver. You got a secret, but I think I know it. You wanna let it out, but people call you Ashley. You like to do it. I know you like the bunch, and you like the jazzy. You like it too, Baba, and you like Fali Cooper. And I know you love your songs, but you know you singing songs. I thought that's what you know. I do not blame you, though. You wanna have them all. You know it's wrong, but the truth is that you just can't Oliver. Sometimes Oliver. Shake your bum bum, bum bum. You must need to bum bum, shake bum bum.